One of the most important pieces of any garage gym is storage space. It's not sexy, but it can definitely make or break the feel and the vibe of your gym. So as you can see over here, I've got it pretty well handled and I've come a long way from where it was. But over here, where I've got my hurdles and my med balls, it's getting a little ugly. So I've got a little plan here of how I'm gonna store this stuff, and hopefully the options that I selected will be a good fit. So I'll show you guys kind of where my head is at and how I'm gonna rearrange this. All right, so first things first, I'm not over here flexing. It's hot as hell here in North Carolina. So I've already sweated through my gray shirt and figured why not just remain as cool as possible and save the world and save some laundry. But the first thing I need to do here is I gotta get as much of this stuff off the floor. That's key in a gym. I like this setup for a while, but it is starting to get a little too crazy over here. So I'm going to start by getting some of these hurdle sticks up onto the ceiling, and I'll show you guys the solution that I came up with. All right, so a little surprise repurpose here. The same place I was holding the hurdle sticks before, I actually can flip the arm up and it stays, and you can mount it to the ceiling. So as you can see, I can get a lot of those in there, and I was not able to do that on some of the smaller hooks that I had. So now all of the hurdles are up on the ceiling, and now to tend to the rest. Some more progress. I hung my tsunami bar up at the top. It's light, and I don't use it like every day. I use it a good bit, but it's not an everyday bar by any means. So I was able to move my mobility sticks up here and then get some medicine balls up on the wall. Although I am a little disappointed, they did say slam balls. The slam balls don't fit, they slide right through, but I was able to use the last one as a shelf for a lot of my pads, which I'll rearrange and not stack quite that high, but I'm clearing up some shelf space to be able to put some more stuff on there that's easy to reach. All right, so next up, I've got these wall balls hung up. I actually went and bought some more of these long hooks that I showed you. I like the versatility of them. They hold a lot, and as you can see, they actually repurposed for holding my slam balls. And then I've also got my yoga mat and 5-dot kind of plyometric mat that I have there, and then my squat pads, or some people call them, well, I won't say it, and then also the large foam roller. So we're almost finished up. And next, I've got my ladder. I'm hanging it here. I'm actually using these magnetic hooks and repurposing them onto my box here. And if you look, they're not going to block the door, which is nice. And then I've also got these. So all my short hurdles are hung up here. They're a little hard to hang in a nice uniform way, but it does the job. And then I repurposed this shelf. So my top shelf has all of my hurdle stands on there. And then I've got one of my balance discs. And then the next shelf is kind of my, let's call it a mobility or a rehab shelf. So I've got my Theragun, my lacrosse ball, my small foam roller. I've got my landmine extension attachment and my hamstring discs or sliders. And then I've got my one slant board here with my pumps for all my different items and some of my tennis balls slash crazy balls. I don't know what to call them. They're the ones that bounce all over the place. And then I've reorganized the dumbbells so it's a little cleaner look, and put my ankle weights, or my wife's ankle weights, plus my ab roller. And then I've completely cleaned out this corner here. So as you can see, it looks a lot better, minus the Peloton cord. But all in all, nice job of repurposing here, and finally kind of clean this up so everything kind of has a nice clean look to it. All in all, like I said, storage is really important. Sometimes when you're a garage gym owner, you get really on top of your storage, and then as you accumulate things, you kind of have to check yourself and re-swizzle some things around. But the one thing I did want to point out is ceiling storage. A lot of times a low ceiling kind of sucks in a garage gym because you have to worry about height on different things like your racks. But I will say one advantage is you can hang things from the ceiling and still get access to them. So like I said, think outside the box. Those Husky long wall mounts there are, I think, $10 a piece. So not cheap, but it's cheaper than probably what it would be to buy some sort of gym hanging equipment. So try to repurpose stuff, find things at Lowe's. I'm sure there's a lower cost one that's maybe not a Husky brand, but like I said, they've kind of got two purposes, which I really like, which is why I ended up buying some more of them. And you can flip them up, like I said, and mount stuff on the ceiling. So now I've got access to all the stuff I need access to quickly. And then some of the things like the hurdles and stuff that I use periodically, I have at least in a clean spot and it's not getting in the way of the other stuff I use quite frequently. So hope this was helpful. Like I said, think outside the box, think about your ceiling and how you can mount things to that. Bike rack hooks, all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot of easy ways to get stuff up off the floor that doesn't have to involve a shelf or your wall, because I'm clearly running out of wall space. Hope this was helpful. Like, subscribe, comment if you guys have any other good storage options. I'm all ears.